The first K-pop thought is that, whenever a topic becomes popular, like for example when an idol or group comes under fire for something, you'll see many people make videos on said topic, especially with unpopular K-pop opinions videos popping up, and all they talk about is a popular topic or two, which is not bad at all. Talk away, but I feel like people talking about a popular topic which, like the idol or group coming under fire example above, there'll be quite a few K-tubers talking about how disgusting it is, and the group or idol should have never done that, and a lot of people just feel like they're saying the same thing without saying something else with the topic or looking at it from a different perspective, similar to the first thought. The thoughts just feel like overused opinions and nothing new if people all have the same thoughts on the topic. People should not make these videos to talk about these topics if someone else is also thinking the same way you do, and a lot of y'all are having the same predictable thoughts that are definitely gonna come with the popular topic. If an idol or group comes under fire for wrong things, many of the K-pop channels will say, they're disgusting and wrong for doing this, and if an idol or group is being hated on, then many K-pop channels will talk about how the idol shouldn't be hated on. Their thoughts all sound like one person saying the same thing across multiple channels. These thoughts are obviously gonna come when looking at something. So, I don't understand why people have to share these thoughts anyways when the thoughts are nothing new and original, since these thoughts are the most obvious reactions to the topic, unless the person is doing a deep dive more or giving a different perspective and not just saying the same few seconds of thoughts as another channel already said. Them talking about the topic feels like they do so because the topic is a hot topic right now, and so just talking about it will get people to watch and agree. They don't feel like they talk about it because they need to, because if they really needed to share thoughts on said topic, they wouldn't just say the same things as others already did. They don't think, did someone else already say this? They just share their thoughts as is, which is not thought-provoking at all, since many people are also gonna think similarly and say the same thing. The next K-pop thought is that, I feel like K-tubers should have people proofread their opinions, and these people proofreading their opinions are people who have knowledge on unpopular K-pop opinions content, because then at least we'll get people who stop people from sharing the same recycled thoughts over and over. These people will not get a green light to upload their videos since some, half or all their opinions would be removed by the proofreader, making the K-pop channel actually use their thinking. Bummer, I know, having to use your own thinking instead of recycling takes for views. We need K-pop channels to get a reality check, and proofreaders can help do that. Proofreaders are the key in showing K-pop channels that their opinions are not all that, not good, and their opinions videos are actually terrible, in terms of sharing bad opinions, and not because their opinions being terrible in the sense of them being harsh or too spicy when they do not reach that level at all. Their little, I want views, bubble will be popped because someone actually gave the harsh reality check that is even more harsher than the K-pop channel's opinions claiming to be harsh when they're not. It's like when you do a CV and someone proofreads it to fix your mistakes, if you have any, so you don't mess up when sending it in. And with K-pop opinion proofreaders, these K-pop channels will know that making their whole video was a mistake, since nothing of their opinions video is any good to upload, and that they shouldn't upload this type of content if they cannot do it justice and only focus on gaining views by pretending their opinions are more shocking than it really is. The next K-pop thought is that, I've realized that if we were to remove overused opinions from unpopular K-pop opinions entirely, and opinions where people just say, X song is overrated, basically giving the top of the iceberg opinions, we wouldn't have many channels remaining that actually give thought-provoking takes, because these are the opinions most channels rely on. Very rare few people actually are original, so removing these types of opinions remove the content entirely from these channels, which means that the unpopular K-pop opinions space would actually become less popular, which would be great because the opinions content being less popular left alone to the rare few actual thinkers who take time in thinking and then uploading opinions videos are much better to be the only ones there than them being there alongside channels who can upload more than one opinions video but they're not thinking in their content at all. So removing these types of opinions will make the space less crowded and overfilled with content coming in the form of shorts and long-formed content, and we'd actually have worthwhile K-tubers to watch where the opinions aren't skippable at all. The next K-pop thought is that, when people say things like K-pop music is getting mid, and they mean it in terms of a few K-pop groups in the mainstream K-pop sphere and not K-pop as a whole. Are they as a K-pop stan know that K-pop is actually getting mid as a whole, or that these groups particularly are getting mid but you equal these groups' music getting mid to the whole industry getting mid when I've said so many times that a few mainstream popular artists do not make up the whole industry where artists are debuting left and right, soloists, bands, groups. So when y'all say these things might actually just be happening to the particular groups themselves and not K-pop as a whole because you have never seen K-pop as a whole, so you don't know if K-pop as a whole is getting musically mid and plus, these groups having mid music doesn't mean that their mid music is flowing through, making other groups' music mid too. You cannot assume that is the case when you're equating a whole industry being mid based on just a few mainstream groups and artists. The groups themselves could be mid but that shouldn't equal to everyone being mid in your eyes because of how many groups are overlooked and getting grouped together with K-pop groups who are giving people the impression that everyone in the industry is being mid when that's simply not the case and you cannot just use the mainstream side as people to be the deciders of the whole industry for you because you're using these mainstream groups as the deciding factors and overlooking non-mainstream groups without giving them a chance to prove otherwise. You're letting the mainstream K-pop side tell you that a whole industry filled with lots of nugu, unpopular artists you have never heard before at all, too many to keep track, as mid when you yourself just never look at any artists past the mainstream side. You guys think that the mainstream side is the only K-pop side to exist, so that maybe that's why y'all think they're the only ones in K-pop. It's wrong to assume that a whole big-ass industry is being the things y'all say when y'all only be talking about a small handful of groups compared to the bigger handful of groups existing besides them that go unnoticed to you. The next K-pop thought is that K-pop channels who react to unpopular K-pop opinions are sharing their own opinions titling their videos as if the opinions are shocking AF. In reality, these channels don't know what actual shocking opinions are, if they think the takes they or their subscribers have are shocking when in reality, these K-pop stans sending their opinions in, and the K-pop channels making takes cannot think, if they do actually think, past top of the iceberg opinions to have anything new to say. Their thoughts cannot go further because they do not let it go further since they don't want to, and most of them focus on just shocking people with mild takes not shocking anyone. These channels do not try to go past the same few circulation of opinions like a music fan whose musical taste is the today's top hits and viral TikTok music and nothing beyond that point. There are a rare few actually thinking of good takes and I'm not talking about them, I'm just talking about other channels who go around in circles in a city full of good thought-provoking takes only to drive around limited thinking avenue and restricted thoughts road. They only know these top of the iceberg opinions since they don't go further, and so they only stay within the lane of top of the iceberg opinions and therefore think these opinions are harsh, when they just need a reality check to see that they're doing the bare minimum of thinking. The next K-pop thought is that, I've noticed that there are opinions where K-pop channels say, this needs to be said, and even though I've said before that people who say this don't have opinions that need to be said because the opinions are overused. But there are people who say this and actually have opinions that need to be said if handled correctly, whether unpopular or popular takes, but these K-pop channels do not know how to handle these opinions correctly and actually address these opinions in the way that it needs to be addressed and they're just explaining it in a vague way. Basically they don't deep dive into the opinion properly and explain it like a surface level take because they don't think more. Since a lot of K-pop channels are not critical thinkers, they might have good takes in rare instances but cannot take those good takes to new heights because they flop in thinking and so the rare good take is handled poorly, and is forgotten once the opinions video is uploaded and that video is just another opinions video. That take could have opened up new discussions if said by the right person. But no, the person just didn't explain it right or maybe the take needed to be said being a popular one was said by yet another K-pop channel giving the same response to it, so that take is not fully explored but rather just explored the same way using the same thinking without actually uncovering the take with deep dive thinking needed to make the take, a take that has finally blossomed into the flower it was meant to blossom into. The next K-pop thought is that, someone said in an opinions short, Bad Villain had the best debut, you can't tell me otherwise, and of course we can't tell you otherwise because subjectively you think that Bad Villain had the best debut and it's your opinion so of course we can't change your opinion because us showing you other debuts won't change your mind unless you change it yourself. You believe Bad Villain had the best debut. Okay fine, you can continue believing that. But there will be people to disagree with you and that should be okay because not everyone thinks like you and if that were the case, this thought would be objective facts but it's not. I will not sit here to tell you otherwise if I don't have to. You can keep thinking what you wanna think, and I don't wanna ruin that by trying to rewire your brain into thinking some other debut is better unless you come across it yourself. I saw this opinion and thought, okay, and I moved on because I don't care what you think, because this thought was not coming off as an objective fact to me to get annoyed, but rather a subjective thought. Opinions are opinions. If they come off as nothing to get annoyed at and are actually just normal takes that don't make me mad, then I shouldn't care. The next K-pop thought is that K-pop channels who say K-pop is mid, or K-pop is getting boring, or having something negative to say about K-pop as a whole in terms of the music, isn't that an insult to the many Korean artists who release K-pop-like music that's actually good? Y'all talk about K-pop being bad, trying to group everyone together when you should know that not everyone is the same, and y'all are dismissing good music by grouping them with the bad, which takes away their hard work and efforts that they put into making a good and long fulfilling song that leaves you satisfied. You putting them with the lazy music creators who just want a TikTok viral hit is horrible, because these artists try so hard only for y'all to be like, K-pop is mid, but you forget these good artists exist. When y'all say K-pop is mid, y'all make no distinctions on quality and y'all just say K-pop, as if you're talking about everyone, and completely throw into the trash the hard worker musicians who make music because they care, all because of short trash made for viral popularity. It's not good if y'all see everything as mid and boring because y'all only see some mainstream artists and not everyone, and the ones who are trying never get any appreciation or credit for making the genre good because their hard works are dismissed by yet another popular group releasing a 2-minute catchy-ass bop dance challenge TikTok hit. It's sad, and y'all need to realize that a whole genre cannot be mid or boring because not everyone who debuts into K-pop or debuts as an artist making K-pop-like music is here to be mid or boring. Not everyone wants to be a chart topper or TikTok hit maker. There are good artists out there, and y'all ignore them when they're actually making the genre good and listenable for y'all to think otherwise about K-pop, but y'all don't care about the good music since y'all only care about complaining on your channels all the time about how K-pop isn't about the music anymore, instead of promoting artists trying to make the genre a worthwhile listen. The next K-pop thought is that someone said in their opinions short, ITZY feels empty without Leah, and I've seen others have similar thoughts as well, and to that I say, ITZY feels empty because you've been seeing ITZY as a full lineup since debut, and so one member not being there might make you viewing ITZY off because it's not a complete team. ITZY debuted as 5 and remained as 5 till Leah was on break, and you saw them do everything as 5, so having one less member in the group where you've watched them perform together as 5, you probably ate up their side content, vlogs and such, as 5, seen them do everything as 5, you're attached to the idea of ITZY as 5 and so you feel off with Leah missing. It's normal for you to feel this way if it's in this context, because you don't want to leave a member excluded and so you feel like a member missing makes the group incomplete and the emptiness is noticeable and that member not being there doesn't feel the same, and you feel like if a group, taking ITZY again, as 5 members, then it should be 5 members. Not more, not less, exactly how it was when they debuted. Plus, if Leah left and was probably replaced by someone else, then it would take some time for you to actually get used to the new member because you guys fell in love with ITZY and got attached to them with Leah in it. And so if Leah left and JYP decided to replace her, the emptiness of Leah not being there would show, and you would take time to get used to the new member in the group, and also you would have thoughts about how she may not be able to do justice to Leah's position, and she may not be as good as Leah was in ITZY, and you would start having all these related thoughts. The next K-pop thought is that K-pop channels always be making opinions videos, shorts to wanna get cancelled by someone or for someone to hate them, and the only people coming to do so are immature fans easily offended by you name dropping their faves in a negative but valid critique way. But why are K-pop channels never making opinions videos to bring up actual discussions and people to talk about K-pop with? Why is it always, I'm here to get cancelled because people can't handle my spicy talk, with these opinions, rather than, I want to bring up a discussion that I can talk to others about and we can have a meaningful conversation about K-pop and share thought-provoking knowledge takes? Many accounts nowadays just wanna share opinions marketed as controversial to bring haters into giving them views, or people who disagree but at a surface level, and very few people come into play where they're normal people who actually want to pick apart the opinion and the response that the K-pop channel said to the opinion. Plus, I believe that maybe trying to be faux controversial to get cancelled is much easier than being a channel trying to deep dive into opinions that are more than just hot takes. Because most if not all K-pop channels cannot think past the top of the iceberg takes, which is a line I will use often now because it just makes sense, and so if they did have a thought-provoking take, they would bring up a good discussion. These channels wouldn't know how to thought-provokingly respond to have a discussion. But nonetheless, it's still sad to see that there aren't many channels who are making videos for the thought of it all, but just rather for, I will get cancelled for my takes, but I don't care if these lukewarm snowflakes can't handle them. The next K-pop thought is that K-pop channels make opinions videos, shorts and say, these are just my opinions and to be respectful, and similar words, but why say that when you yourself as a channel are trying to make the video, short come off as something WTF, because you marketed your opinions as controversial. If you want people to be respectful, then maybe don't market your opinions in such a way where you're basically saying, if you can't handle my opinions then leave, which is really odd, because how can you want respect when you yourself are making it so that you get cancelled and that people don't respect you and actually attack you for the takes you've shared? If you care about the, these are my opinions, part which you mention in the start, then don't market yourself in a way that makes you an easy target for people who just wanna hear you say one negative but valid take about their faves before they pounce. Be normal if you want people to respect you with your takes. Expecting people to be mature but you're trying to anger them cannot fit in one sentence. If you don't care about the fact that you're trying to make someone mad, then they shouldn't have to respect you. It's as simple as that. The next K-pop thought is that people defend idols and groups in their unpopular K-pop opinions videos, shorts for their vocals, and say things about room for improvement and such, but why should there be a room for improvement when these idols debuted with bad vocals? Shouldn't there have been training done pre-debut to the full extent so that these idols don't sound as bad as they do? Besides smaller companies who do not have the financial means to fully train the idol to their best potential, the bigger companies on the other hand do, but why don't they? These idols and groups get hated on for their vocals with nobody really seeing the, oh, they have potential, side of the vocals, which means that these idols sound bad to the ears of K-pop stans, showing that the company didn't train them as much as they needed to be trained. There shouldn't be a room for improvement to exist if idols debut despite not being ready vocally or not being ready at all. Having bad vocals means that you'd have to train longer than people born with vocal talent, but they also still need training. It's not a quick process to vocal train someone to be the best that they can be, and now thinking of this thought, I find it weird when K-pop stans say, X idol has improved, or, X group has improved, when improvement shouldn't even be a thing, because if you're trained right you can showcase good vocals and only be bad at singing if you're having a bad vocal day, sickness, or the song doesn't suit you or the song is out of your range. Idols shouldn't have room for improvement, especially from big companies making millions who have the ability to get any good quality vocal trainer that is not from Temu. If an idol is showing improvement from previous bad performances, then that means the idol is still training even post-debut to get better when the pre-debut training should have covered everything right. This is why we have idols who are trained to debut just to be good enough, but never many artists who debut to fully develop their skills. Maybe that's why people feel like nowadays K-pop idols lack talent vocally. The last K-pop thought is that people talk about K-pop groups and how not every member is soloist material, which I used to believe that every member is soloist material since there are different genres existing and not everyone has to be a K-pop artist that sings and dances, but now I agree with K-pop stans saying this due to me maturing more and my thoughts developing more. Also, the thought that I wanted to share here is that when K-pop stans want certain members of a K-pop group to have solos and people in their opinions videos will say, that idol is not a soloist, or something like that, and will proceed to give examples of who is fitting for a soloist in terms of being successful. How do you know that these idols that you name can only have a successful solo career just because of how you view them in the group? You're judging an idol based on the group they're in, where the company could be holding them back creatively, or making them come off as someone who is not someone who can sustain a solo career, and the idol themselves just don't have the freedom to do what they want because they follow what the company gives for the group in terms of everything. You don't know what the future holds, and the idol who you say cannot be a soloist maybe can in terms of being successful. Yes, I do agree that there are idols who work better in group settings than solo activities, but we don't exactly know if they're more better fitting for groups than standing alone because of the points that I mentioned above. Your assumption is based on what you see, but it's not entirely true since the company controls the group in everything that they do, so you see only what the idols are following. The reasons you might have for an idol not being able to have a successful solo career is based on the first layer that you see and not the layer that you've peeled off to show the real thing hiding within. Also, this thought is not based on talent, but rather on a successful solo career.